Welcome to another episode of Bourbon and Data Breaches, where we cover 5 of the most interesting breaches from this last week. I'm Steve.
And Frank.
Well, this week we have airlines, hardware stores, power grids, hospitals, and city halls when ransomware targets the system that moves, builds, heals, and governs. Let's jump right in. Starting off with story number 1, Garuda Indonesia Airlines, obviously out of Indonesia, national airline carrier, and Gentlemen checked into their flight. That's right. Gentlemen Ransomware is claiming this airline. Major carriers don't just move passengers, they move identities, payments, passport details, global travel itineraries, and that is certainly a goldmine for fraud and operational chaos.
Well, another infrastructure story. This is fraud at scale, targeted phishing using real itinerary data and operational pressure on systems that already run on tight margins. Aviation depends on timing, like any other company. Trust. You disrupt either one and the damage spreads fast. Ransomware groups understand that airlines cannot afford prolonged instability.
Moving right along to story number 2, True Value. Here in the United States, that's right, the national hardware retail chain. And guess who stopped by? Gentlemen again. Gentlemen making the rounds today because Gentlemen is claiming a breach of True Value. Large retailers, centralized customer transactions, vendor systems, and supply chain logistics. When ransomware hits retail, it's not just checking out lanes that freeze, it's distribution networks. And this is going to be a big one for consumers. Frank, what do you think about True Value?
What I think about True Value is that it shows how retail is really logistics disguised as storefronts. A national hardware chain doesn't just process transactions, but coordinates suppliers, warehouses, distributors, franchise systems. And when ransomware hits retail, checkout lines are like the visible symptom. The deeper risk is supply chain interruption and vendor exposure. And you can buy duct tape there, but it won't fix ransomware. If transaction data and vendor integrations are exposed, fraud and downstream compromise follow quickly. Retail centralizes data for efficiency, and attackers love that.
Story number 3, we have ACWA Power and Larson and Turbro. Inc. ransomware is claiming this global energy and infrastructure leader. And boy, that is quite the ransomware event. Looks like they grabbed 2 companies at the same time. When attackers extract data at this scale from power and infrastructure giants, you're talking about sensitive engineering documents, energy projects, and financial records tied to critical systems. I think the fact that Inc. is holding 2 businesses for ransom at the same time really shows how interconnected companies are these days. What do you think about that, Frank?
Yeah, I agree on that. When data moves out of companies that design and operate energy systems, the risk isn't only immediate disruption. It's about exposure, strategic exposure. Infrastructure data has long-term intelligence value, and groups like Inc. understand that these firms operate projects tied to national interest and massive capital flows. So the size of the dump matters less than the sensitivity of what could be inside.
This is going to be an interesting one, but a spicy one. We've got Kallet Health Services out of Israel, and they got hit by Handala, a well-known hacktivist ransomware gang. Handala specifically targets Israel and Israel-related organizations, and they are also known for long postings, long details about their hacks. And Handala has gone after the National Healthcare Organization. This is Israel's largest healthcare provider. National healthcare systems manage massive volumes of regulated patient data and critical medical infrastructure, and certainly they're tempting targets for hacktivists like Handala. And I tried to go to their site. Looks like they have some errors, issues. They're certainly dealing with something because they did not let me go to their site.
We know large healthcare providers managing identity, insurance, diagnostics, prescriptions, and clinical histories in one environment. It's millions of regulated patients' records and operational systems that hospitals depend on daily. Nothing abstract there. Healthcare remains one of the most pressured sectors because downtime is dangerous and privacy is tightly regulated. And attackers know that urgency changes negotiation dynamics very quickly.
This last one, interesting one. City of Coca. That's a fun name to say. Coca. It's
Cool.
Florida municipal government, and it looks like Inc. registered as part of their census. That's right. Inc. ransomware visited the city of Coca, Florida. Municipal governments manage everything from utilities and billing to citizen services and law enforcement records. Looks like a pretty city, but not a pretty ransomware event.
Isn't it Cocoa? When Inc. claims the city, the immediate concern is
Was it
service
Cocoa?
disruption. I
Did
think
I
it's
get that one
Cocoa.
wrong?
Coca. And there's an O there.
Cocoa?
Cocoa. Like chocolate beverage. The longer issue is citizen data exposure and cascading administrative delays. Municipal systems are deeply interconnected. You shut one down and you feel it across departments and stuff. Ransomware groups keep targeting cities because the leverage is predictable and these defenses are uneven. It's not glamorous, but it works.
Well, the city of Cocoa, Florida, looks like a pretty place, but we're going to have Inc. moving in next door. You don't want Inc. moving in next door, do you, Frank? From airlines and retail chains to global energy firms, national healthcare systems, and local governments, ransomware keeps targeting organizations where disruption hurts and regulated data pays. If your system supports travel, energy, commerce, healthcare, or public services, you are not just a business, you're infrastructure and you're a target. Pour a bourbon, patch your systems, and remember, attackers chase leverage. Until next time.